Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Aaron2for20, and I'm bringing you guys my MPL Season 6, I believe, draft analysis. Yep, Season 6. So, I am subbing in for Melontosh, and he had to drop due to other reasons I'm not going to explicitly mention. But, yeah, so we're taking over his team week 3. I got 7 transactions total. I made 6 this week, 1 next week. I want to cover it anyway, just because I'm not using the mon that I'm trading in the week 3 game for reasons that will become fairly obvious. Without further ado though, I'm gonna get right into the team. So the first mon on my team, oh by the way, I actually forgot something. I'm gonna go in the team based on the orders on the dock, so it's not gonna be in point order. It would probably make more sense if I did it in point order, but you know, we don't make sense here. So I'm just gonna go in the order it is on the dock because of the transactions. So the first mon on my team, I picked up Terrakion. I picked this up over Kieran Black, mainly just because I don't like Kieran Black. It's not that it's a bad mon, it's a bad mon in my hands, and I feel like there are better dragons. Fight me on that. But I like fighting types. Usually go for a lower tier fighting type, so I never really get to draft Terrakion. So I figured that it was definitely one of the better mons around left, by far. There wasn't much left in terms of the upper tiers. A lot of middle tier stuff was left, which is why I got my team very middle tier heavy. But Terrakion was something very solid left for 14 points. It gives me a lot of room in terms of picking Z-Mons, because Z-Mons are decided on a 25 point scale, and it's the same points as it costs to draft a mon to give it a Z move. So out of the 25 points, Terrakion costs 14 of those. I figured that was a very fair deal, as Terrakion is a killer Z move pool with options such as Z Stone Edge, Z Close Combat, etc. I can go all day on how good Terrakion is physically. Overall though, I just really like it. I really want to try it for a long time, as I haven't used it since I started giving a shit about draft, as the last time I drafted it was like pre-PBC days, and I don't count pre-PBC because that was before that, like even before FBL I haven't even drafted it. Well, I haven't drafted it since like FBL, which is a long time ago, and that was when I still didn't really care overly much about what my team ended up looking like. I just wanted to draft things I liked. So yeah, Terrakion overall though, cool mon. I really like it. Next up, I got myself a Jirachi. Now, Jirachi's a mon that I really like using. I haven't used it in Upload League in a very long time. I can't even remember the last time I did. I don't think maybe I didn't even ever use it in an Upload League, to be honest. Though I think I drafted it, I think I might have drafted it in FBL before transactions. I honestly can't remember. Point is, I cannot remember the last time I used it in Upload League. Last time I used it in general, I used it in a couple non-Upload Leagues, like MWPA, for example, that I'm in. Some of you guys might know that one. But I really like using Jirachi. I think it has a very diverse move pool with a lot of utility and things such as Rocks, Healing Wish. Gets Pivot, of course, with U-Turn. I think it even gets Wish too, but I'd personally always run Healing Wish for the most part, unless if I ridiculously needed Jirachi in terms of a win con, because I just feel like Healing Wish is better. It's literally a better wish. It gets a phenomenal move pool, both physically and specially, with a lot of setup options. And yeah, Jirachi, I decided, you know what, I was originally going to drop it and pick up maybe a Mega Gardevoir, because I really like Mega Gardevoir, and I haven't used it in a very long time, and I've really wanted to draft it again. But I felt like that there wasn't really any low tier dragons that I wanted, and I felt like I also had in my Mega Gardevoir mock-up plan like 8 or 9 points left. So this plan that I went with by keeping Jirachi sort of just worked better for my team. It also gave me more rockers and more initiative overall, so I'm fairly happy with that. The next mon on my team, I believe I did pick this up. I picked this up over the Mega over the Mega DNC slot on my team. I can't remember most of the mons I dropped, to be honest, but technically I guess this wouldn't have been my Mega for Mega. Anyway, enough rambling. I picked up a Snorlax next. I really like Snorlax a lot in format, and especially in VGC. I haven't used Snorlax in format in a long time, but I definitely do know that I've used it at least in Gen 7. Oh yeah, I think the last time I used it was MPL Season 3. I liked it a lot, and I just haven't had a draft that I've liked it on since. I did love using it in VGC though, so that sort of made me really want to use it again in format, and I just picked it up. It works really well with a lot of my middle pickups in terms of my draft. I haven't really ever used it with like Terrakion, but I haven't really used Terrakion ever, so I'm curious to see how that'll work. But I like Jirachi with Snorlax at least. I like it with a couple of my next couple picks as well. In fact, actually my next 3 picks especially, I like it with a lot. So it's just a really fat mon. It's not passive fat either. Like, for example, something like, let's say Mandibuzz is really passive fat. Things like Chansey is just a really tanky mon that is just going to take hits and dish them back. Gluttony is also a phenomenal ability. I fucking love it because it's literally just spam recycle. And while you get Toxic, which sucks because an advantage to a rest talk set is I can run thick fat and then just spam rest and never need to worry about being toxic stalled. That's pretty much the only way to kill a recycle curse set with Gluttony. So overall though, Snorlax is just a phenomenal mon, and I really am looking forward to using it in format again. Next up on my team, I picked up Suicune. My bulky water in this team, I forgot what it was, to be honest with you, but I remember when a Suicune I kept Suicune. Suicune was one of the 4 mons that I kept. I kept Suicune, Drachi, and 2 other mons that I will get into soon. Suicune though was a mon that I've actually really liked using, but I haven't used it in a very long time. Main reason being is it's always picked up fairly early, or I end up opting for other mons in its tier. Luckily though, this is points, I have a lot more freedom with my structure of my draft, so I was able to really middle tier stack on this. Suicune offers me a really solid base 85 speed tier, which my team was sort of lacking as it's 100, 108, and then 30 as of right now on the team. It's also bulky water that, again, isn't passive, which I really like because I have a couple walls that are more on the passive end later on, and it's really nice to just have some fat that is also not passive. And again, I have Wish Pass with Drachi as well, so not having recovery on my bulky water isn't a big deal to me personally. Calm Mind Suicune also is so fucking good. I love my rest talk on my team, to be honest, between Snorlax and Suicune. It is pretty nice. Also, it has a fairly okay offensive move pool, not the best, but I mean, water plus ice hits fairly well in general. And then obviously like HP grass for things such as Gastrodon and Seismitoad. So that's always fairly nice. And again, Toxic is really pretty much the only move you need on a bulky water, so it's always good. I also actually have Tailwind with this thing, which I actually do have another Tailwind setter, which I will get into next. But that is always very nice for something such as Terrakion to potentially late game sweep with something like an SD set, and then I can run SD 3 attacks and then just get a Tailwind off with Suicune, and then just late game try and kill off a couple mons that might be faster than me. So overall though, Suicune, very solid mon. I really am looking forward to using it again. Next up, speaking of passive fat, I got myself a Mandibuzz. This is definitely one of the most passive fat mons in the game, but I really needed a flying type that was like actually a thick flying type. I also really wanted a dark type, so it's literally like, this was a pickup from Honchkrow. It's literally just a better Honchkrow in my opinion by miles, because it can actually take hits, and I can still do damage back. I mean, actually, now that I think about it, it's very different from Honchkrow, because Honchkrow is meant to be offensive, but it's better for its typing. Because Honchkrow with a dark flying typing should be able to take hits. It can't really take hits overly well. It has a fairly good HP stat, but that's really it. Mandibuzz is literally, it's almost as fat as Crest, to be honest. It's really fucking fat. Gets recovery of its own, of course. I have Foul Play, so it's not exactly going to be passive necessarily against physical mons at least. And again, Toxic Stall with Toxic Roost. This thing is very hard to actually 2-hit KO, so I can usually reach up on most things. Can even take non-stab super effective hits from things such as like a coverage ice beam, for example. I can invest to take that fairly well just because it's so naturally bulky. So Mandibuzz overall, really good sponge on my team. My team really needed like a mixed wall because a lot of my fat isn't necessarily, it's not really like a wall, they're just fat like Snorlax. I mean, Snorlax is a wall, but it's more so like a tank if anything. Same as Suicune, they're more so tanks in my opinion. But this is a true wall because it's going to be extremely hard to actually break. It's probably closest counterpart in terms of what it does is Cress, but Mandibuzz still functions differently because of course I can do options such as Defog. This is actually my first hazard removal on the team. I have, I believe, just one other hazard removal option on this team, which I'll get into next. So overall, Mandibuzz I feel like was a really solid pickup for my team. I really like it, especially going into a couple of our later matchups, such as week 4, for example. I really like Mandibuzz in that matchup, though I'm not sure if he even end up bringing it. But it just has really nice matchup versus some of the games that I was going to be playing. And of course, you know, just really fast sponge. So next up, our other really passive wall, not as passive, but still fairly passive. I got Florges. Now, technically, I do not have Florges yet. I have it week 4. Currently, I have Salazzle. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, why do I have Salazzle and why did I drop it? I had a fire type actually that I'm going to get into in a couple other picks. I believe 3 picks from now. So I like that fire type just better on my team because it provided me with a lot more to my team. I don't like Salazzle's Amon personally. So yeah, I went with Florges. Florges does give me another Wish Passer. This is probably going to be a much more reliable Wish Passer than Jirachi in terms of Wish Passing, but Jirachi could still be nice in that department, I guess. This gives me also an actual Cleric, because Jirachi's way of Cleric is Healing Wish, and that means I need to kill off Jirachi. So this gives me a Cleric with actual longevity and doing a Cleric role in terms of clearing status. So I do really like that, because even though things such as Snorlax and Suicune aren't overly effective if they are running Rest, well, affected if they're running Rest in terms of by Toxic, for example, having a Cleric is still really nice, especially for things such as Mandibuzz, if Mandibuzz was going to get Toxic stalled, or if maybe my Jirachi or Terrakion got burned and I was trying to run a physical set on Jirachi, or on Terrakion again, just in general being burned. Florges is really nice in that department. So I really like Florges in general, mainly just for a Cleric. Also gives me a backup Defogger, one that isn't weak to rocks, I might add, which is very nice. However, Florges also does a massive 4 move slot syndrome, which is one thing I dislike about it. However, it just fit way too well on my team to not pick it up. So we'll see. I hope it goes well. Overall, though, I'm a little bit worried about Florges, just because I'm not crazy about Florges from using it so much. It's sort of like Tapu Fini in my eyes. Like, it's good and it fits on a lot of teams I happen to draft, but I don't overly like having to draft it, in my opinion, just because, as I said, it's a mon I've used a lot, and I find that I don't normally get to a point where it's a mon that I can really feel comfortable with, but it's a mon that just happens to fit really well in a lot of my teams. So we're going to try it. I think it'll work out well enough to the point where it won't like cost us per se, but I'm hoping I don't get stuck in the same bubble of just running the same set on every week. Next up on our team, I got myself a Selgor. This is actually the third mon that I kept of the 4. The 4th mon is going to be my next pick. A Selgor was actually another Z-mon I had. In terms of my lower point mons, I could have gotten something 11 points or lower, so that's Florges, a Selgor, and my next 1, 2, 3, 4 picks. But a Selgor, I felt like there was only one other mon I would have even considered, and that being 2 picks from now. I'll get into that when I cover it. However, I felt like having a special Z user was more efficient than having a physical one. Also, I'll get into the other reasons why when we get to that mon on why I didn't Z it. Selgor does have a fairly okay special move pool, things such as Z Bug Buzz, which is very nice. Also, Z Energy Ball is very good. So I do have options in terms of hitting things with coverage the Terrakion would not get. Whereas, I mean, my other option would have hit things with other coverage as well. So that wasn't necessarily a huge issue in terms of that mon, but I'll get into why I didn't Z it when we get to it. However, a Selgor also gives me a very, very fast speed mon. So my fastest thing before a Selgor was, I believe, Terrakion at base 108 speed. So while there's definitely a gap in my speed tiers, it does offer me something at least in the faster end in terms of things that are, let's say, Aerodactyl, for example. A regular Aerodactyl that would otherwise that would definitely run an Adamant Nature versus my team. I could always just bop that and make sure I have something at outspeed without a Scarf. Aerodactyl is probably a bad example because I'm sure Aerodactyl can beat me 1v1, but this does stop things, let's say Mega Zam, from having the ability to run a Modest Nature, because if it is running a Modest Nature and I'm speed creeping for a Modest Zam, for example, then I'm going to bop the Zam with, let's say, a Bug Buzz or even a U-Turn, as Zam does not have the best physical defense. And a Selgor does have a fairly okay physical attack, not the best, but it has a fairly decent one, though obviously its special attack is much better. So yeah, overall I really like it. Also gives me a Spike user. I really like spikes in format. I don't often prioritize getting them, but it's always a nice luxury to have if I choose to have it. The last mon that I decided to keep on the team was Mudsdale. Now I'm sure you guys were probably wondering for a while what my ground type was. It is right here, Mudsdale. I actually fell in love with this thing in the NPL using it. I love the Resto Chester set that I ran against Omega Jolteon, for example. It's obviously not the best ground type, but my team doesn't overly have a big electric weakness in general, so if there's a game I can't bring it to, it's not the end of the world. It gives me another Stealth Rocker on top of Jirachi, and I believe Terrakion as well is my only other rocker on this draft. So I don't have the best rock options, though Jirachi and Mudsdale are very reliable. I just don't have a lot of diversity in my rockers, but it's definitely manageable, I feel like. Mudsdale is also a very nice physical wall, as my sponges before were things such as Suicune, which while I could be very physically or especially defensive, Combine Suicune is more so taking special hits and then just physical hits because of natural physical investment. I have Snorlax, who's definitely much more of a special wall, much more, until I get Curses up. Mandibuzz is definitely a mixed wall, I'll give it that. Florges, very, very specially bulky, to the point where even if I run max physical defense, I am still having much more special defense in my Florges in general, in terms of just natural base stats. So this is my first true like physical wall. I think it has the most physical defense of anything on my team. Mana Buzz might beat it out if you accommodate his HP as well, but I'm fairly certain that Mudsdale is the bulkiest thing physically on my team. I could be wrong, but I might be misremembering that. Anyway, but Stamina, though, it definitely is the best physical wall on my team in terms of a physical sponge. So, also, it's really nice because a lot of physical typings, such as fighting, ground, aren't necessarily going to break this thing. And my special types, such as, well, special types that would bother this thing, such as grass, water, and ice. I have things like Suicune that can sponge those very well. Thick Fat Snorlax sponges ice really well, and it's not bothered by grass and all, or Hydro Pumps, for example. Florges sponges all those very well as well. So it pairs really nicely with my special infested walls or Suicune, because Suicune is sort of a mixed wall. But overall, I just really like it on my team. I felt like it offered a lot to my team that my team was missing, so I figured it was a really easy mod to keep. Next up, I have the other mon I was considering for a Z move in terms of my 9-point Z mon, or really my 11 and under Z mon, this being Incineroar. Incineroar, the reason I didn't go for a Z move on this is I feel like it's a lot better as a bulky pivot with things such as Leftovers, Berry, or Assault Vest. Bandit and Scarf obviously are not bad options on Incineroar, but I feel like there's not a lot of option for a Z move personally, and I felt like it's either I have two physical Z mons or I have a physical and a special Z mon, and I felt like that alone was a more reason to draft Selgor as a Z user. Now, Incineroar obviously does have Z purpose. It could have very well been a Z mon with very, very powerful options like Flare Blitz or a Z Flare Blitz that would not be taking any recoil. Even like a Z Overheat could have been nice for things such as Scizor if I didn't want to worry about the special attack drop. Though to be fair, special Incineroar wouldn't really come in handy that much unless it was something like let's say a Skarmory or a Mega Scizor. And even then, if I'm just going to click Overheat versus them, I can chances are to a KO unless if they roost up on the first hit. And even then, I'm sure Mega Scizor would get bopped by one Overheat. So I felt like not running a Z move on Incineroar was overall the best option if it meant that giving it on a mon that while I can normally run a Sash, I feel like that Buganium, for example, or a Gracium, a Selgor are just better options. Gives me more coverage because while of course Fire and Dark are options that Incineroar doesn't have in terms of that Terrakion doesn't have in terms of its Z move pool. Things like Groundium Z, I can always run a Terrak. Fightium Z, I can always run a Terrak. I think this team even gets like Rock Slide. I can't remember off the top of my head, but if it does, I can run it on Terrak. So overall, though, I felt like that Terrak on the physical aspect just hit harder as a Z-Mon. This thing does, however, have a lot of merit in terms of picking it up. Just because it wasn't good enough to be a Z-Mon, or at least didn't bring enough to the table to become a Z-Mon, doesn't mean it wasn't a good pick. Things like Intimidate, for example, are very phenomenal. I personally like it more than Arcanine in terms of the Intimidator aspect. If this thing got Recover, it would 100% beat Arcanine in every department, as it literally only loses to Arcanine in terms of stat-wise, speed, and I believe HP as well, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it's just speed and special attack, but special attack is very relevant on this mon. It's a physical attacker. I know it's better physical attack and better defenses than Arcanine for the most part. It's pretty much all around just better stat Arcanine, except for it misses out of recovery, which sucks. But otherwise, though, I mean, it still does have options to recover, such as berries. Of course, I have a Healing Wish and a Wish user in Jirachi, and a Wish Passer in Florges as well. So HP can definitely be brought back on Incineroar. Overall, though, I do really like what it brings to the table, because unlike I'm pretty sure Mandibuzz doesn't get Stab Knockoff. Even then, I'd probably almost always run Foul Play on it in terms of a Dark move. So I do have Incineroar as a actual offensive knockoff user. Even if I brought knockoff on Florges for some reason, which I mean, it's not a bad option in general, but this is a actually offensive knockoff user, which I really like. Also, Darkest Lariat can go through defense boost. So while that would really, for the most part, only be useful in things like Curse-Lax, I'm pretty sure that's the only viable cursor I can think of. There may very well come a time where Darkest Lariat could be useful in terms of getting through something that might have stat boost, physically defensive. I can't really think of anything else off the top of my head than Snorlax, though. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Anyway, our Mega we finally got to our Mega pick. This is a Mega that is a dragon. It was a very low cost mon. It is Mega Ampharos. Now this gives me the Volt and a Volt Turn core. I have U-Turn in things such as Incineroar and Jirachi. I also have it in Mandibuzz. I was gonna say I could have sworn I had one more Pivot mon, and then also Selgor too, actually. So I have a lot of momentum on this team. Mega Ampharos though is a really slow pivot mon. My only other slow pivot that I have is Incineroar, as Manabuzz is actually fairly fast, base 85 speed if I'm not mistaken, Jirachi's base 100, Icelgore's base 145, so my slow pivots are really just Incineroar and Mega Ampharos, which is really nice because if there's a mon that I'm, let's say, trying to scout a switch, I mean, I guess scouting the switch wouldn't be the scenario that it would be nice for, as regardless, my speed, it would just pivot on that person's switch. But if I'm trying to sponge a hit and then switch into something that I can then just set up next turn and then kill off with, like let's say if I wanted to switch into Terrakion and I knew I could only take one hit against something, and then if I got this SD up, then I could kill it off. So if I'm trying to only take one hit with a certain mon that I'm trying to set up with, Mega Ampharos can sponge that first hit, then slow pivot, and I can maybe scout what they're going to go for. Like if they go for, let's say, Toxic, I could take Toxic Mega Ampharos. Now my Terrakion isn't poisoned. And well, obviously Mega Ampharos would prefer not to be Toxic. If it's for the sweeper to get off in sweep like it should be, then that's always better. So slow pivot I feel like is very useful in terms of just trying to see what your opponent's going to go for. So Mega Ampharos does offer that to me. Electric types, well, I prefer a fast electric type. I've wanted to try Mega Ampharos for a while, and it's not exactly a fast electric type, so at some point along the line I gotta just have to slow one, being Mega Ampharos, and just roll with it. So while I would have preferred very fast electric, this thing does actually still have options for speed with agility, which is very nice. However, it's more so just a slow electric, and I just gotta suck it up that it is slow. So it does actually have a very, very powerful special attack stat, however, base 165, with options such as Thunder Mist and also Dragon Pulse that are fairly nice stab options. Overall though, I just really like Mega Ampharos. I want to try it for a while now. Figured why not in a draft where I had to reconstruct from the beginning anyway from scraps. Finally though, we get into our last mon. This is the grass type in our Fire Water Grass core with Incineroar and Suicune, my bad, I said Manabuzz for some reason almost. This also gives me a spin blocker. This mon was 8 points and it was Gourgeist. Gourgeist was a very low tier grass type. I felt like I really liked it for spin blocking. Also, Willows is very nice. I only have it on Incineroar as of right now. Really nice bulky mon in general. More so physically defensive, though obviously it does have some special defense with HP being fairly nice as well. I really don't know what to say about this mon. I like how it has a bunch of different forms that can very much alter its speed, so it is very hard to speed creep. I can get past a lot of mons such as Seismitoad, for example. I actually did speed creep Nick Seismitoad, and I brought the appropriate form that gave me the most bulk while I was speeding Seismitoad. I'll go into that in my team builder for that game though. This does offer a lot of opportunity though in terms of my speed creeping, because it does have 4 different forms with very different base speeds. So its stats do definitely give me a lot of diversity in prep, which I really like, especially for an 8-point mon. It was relatively on the cheaper end for grass types. And of course, spin blocking is always nice. It does have its own recovery as well with Synthesis and Leech Seed, which is very good. And Priority and Shadow Sneak too, which I believe this thing might actually have my only stab priority on my team, as Icelgore does get Quick Attack. And I think Terrakion might get that as well, but neither of those are stab priority. And realistically, neither will probably run Quick Attack. Maybe Terrakion might, because it's an actually physical offensive mon, but this is my only stab priority, and I really do like that, despite it not getting any other really good stab ghost moves. Overall though, I think I really do like my draft in general. Let me know your guys' thoughts below. I'm going to be uploading my week 3 game versus Nick tomorrow, as I had to push it back in order to get this up. If you guys did enjoy, leave a like down below, and I will see you guys in the next one tomorrow. Peace out.